I thought about the lily for many reasons. You know, depending on the color you pick, it will have a different kind of significance or meaning. Lilies are great for remembering. And this, I like to be able to make a lily, of course. And this is this is made out of 6-inch squares. I'm going to show you how to fold them out of an 8-inch just because it's a little bigger. But I'm going to also show you how to make the leaf. And this is actually a bamboo skewer. Any weight of paper, like you can have a scrapbook paper. I wouldn't go too thick. Pattern paper looks really pretty. Like if you have printed, like gift wrap would look really pretty. It doesn't have to be solid. What I did is I painted my skewer ahead of time, leaving the sharp end a little bit at the end. And now there's a reason for that, and I'll explain that. I also, on purpose, you can wet your bamboo just as there's an idea. If you want to make your flowers look more natural, you know, or to have a vase full of flowers, you know, having some bent stems would really be good. So I just dampened my this bamboo and I just wet it and just kind of, you know, I just curved it with my hands and it dried like that. So you can do that with your bamboo, and lots of bamboo skewers already come bent anyway. But you can, just by moistening it a little bit and just gently bending it, you'll get a nice bend, kind of a natural bend. You can even do it while you don't want to do it while it's wet after you painted it because you'll get paint all over your hands. But bamboo is nice and it's pretty pliable and it has a good memory. So I did paint my stems in advance because just to save time. And I'm using, to make the stems or to make the leaves, it's just another piece of green paper. And I actually found paper that matched my paint pretty well, which is phenomenal. But the paint that I did use, this is a nice paint for leaves or for stems. And the lily is a traditional fold. It's been around a long time. They're just so much fun. So we'll get started on the folding. And so I kind of fold it differently than others. Everybody has their own approach in how they're going to fold this. But if you have paper that is color on one side, like let's say white on one side, color on the other, start your fold with the color side up, facing you. So let's fold it in half. First thing we'll do is fold it in half in one direction. And we open it up and we fold it in half in the other direction. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to see this. I can see my paper is very light, but I'm hoping that you'll be able to see the contrast good enough. But if it doesn't, I'll do it again. We'll do it again. So now we've got this happening here. So turn your paper over so the white side is up and just fold it in half diagonally. And then fold it in half diagonally in the other direction. So now turn your paper over so that your color side is up. It sounds strange, but there's just a method to this madness. It makes all the steps easier to do this. So what you have now, if you just look at your paper, I have these folds here are mountain folds, and then my diagonal folds are valley folds. Kind of make sure that that's how your paper is. And then what we're going to do is one step that just kind of helps with things is I'm going to fold all four corners to the inside, to that center intersection. All four points go straight to that intersection. And it's nice that you have a little guide now with your other folds, kind of help you point those corners right in the right direction. So I've got all these, and I'm going to unfold what I just did, there. So I'm going to now, I'm going to kind of give you a second here. Take your center. Imagine, let's see if I got that right. There we are. What we want to do is we want to create a base, kind of like, I've got to see, for some reason my brain is not seeing it. Oh, there. Because after I folded this part, there I go. Okay, I see what's happening. All right, so have your mountain folds, these folds, mountains. Make those, these are the mountains. You have those facing you. And what you're going to do is you're going to collapse everything into a base. It's like a what is this called? It's just your general base, crane base. Just collapse that. So basically you have, this is happening, this folds here, and there's a reason for that, but I'll show you in a little bit. So you're gonna just collapse, you've got this piece, and you're just taking it and you're collapsing it into a square with 2 flaps on either side, okay? So now what you're gonna do is you've got an open end and a closed end, right? So take your open end, you're not gonna fold on that open end right now. What you're gonna do is this, where this closed end is, so you can see, here's the open flap here, and here's the closed. I'm gonna just take my paper and I'm gonna fold it in. This is the closed end. My fold starts at the closed end, and I'm gonna bring it in on both sides. It kind of reminds you of a crane fold. So I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna kind of, you see I've got this fold here. The open end is here, so I can put my finger or bone folder in the end. And I have the fold, these two points. I'm going to also turn it, I'm gonna flip it over and do the same thing on the opposite side. I'm just gonna fold these little points or these little ends or edges to meet the center crease, kind of like a kite. And remember, your open end is here. You've got open parts here, and that's what you want to do, which the crane is the opposite. So that's why I wanted to make sure you're doing this part. So now that we have these little folds done, so we've got these 4, basically if you look at it, it's open on this end, you've got these flaps here, you've got this flap here. Okay, so next step, is you're going to take each of these folds that you just made, and you're going to open up one, and I always use a folder if I can. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to put my hand, or I could put my finger, put my bone folder, but I'm opening it up, and I'm going to just flatten it and squish it flat with the fold landing right on top of this part. And I've just now created this, looks like a kind of a Christmas tree thing. So you can see I just opened it up and flattened it. And I'm going to show you again. I'm going to just turn this. I'm just going to turn this page kind of like, and I'm going to take this flap. See how this flap is sticking up? And I'm going to just insert my folder, my bone folder. It's sticking straight up. And now I'm going to just take that and I'm going to use my folder to kind of help flatten it. I'm just going to flatten it down. It's already, there's no new creases. I'm just flattening it on existing creases. And I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to do the same thing. I've got these 2 flaps here. So I'm going to move one out of the way and I'm going to bring this flap straight up vertically. I'm going to insert my bone folder. If you have your finger's fine too. But the bone folder really helps to kind of visualize what's happening. I'm not going to make a new crease, but I'm just going to push, I'm flattening this point, this right down. This folded part just lays right down. It pretty much just falls into place. I'm going to open this, just turn this little flap over, just getting it out of the way, because I have this last free flap here. There it is. You can see I've got it sticking straight up. I'm going to put my bone folder inside and I'm going to push it and flatten it down. So now what we have, if you're looking at it, you'll have 4 flaps on either side of your whatever shape that is. So you got the solid end here, and there's open ends on this side here. So the next step, this thing is such a neat flower. And there's other ways to get to this place, but you'll see why that the folding that we did that goes to the center, those 4 corners, doing that is going to help with this next step so much. It's amazing how it helps. So what you do is you have you have it like this, so oriented where you can see, these little, you've got that kind of elongated triangle with these 2 triangular flaps underneath. We're going to take the top layers on these, and we're going to fold them in at this narrow part. I'm going to fold this little short end and I'm going to fold it towards right to the center there. You can see, just fold that to the center and take the other layer, the top flap, and fold that one to the center. So now you've got this little point happening. Okay. The next step, you kind of unfold it, and you'll love that what happens next, because what we're going to do is we're going to open this up, but there's already a fold that was done before us. And what we're going to do is we're going to just take it and collapse it right on that fold. There's a little, you can see it right there. We're not creating a new fold. We're just taking it. We're going to make this point right here. Of course, mine's being fussy right now. Maybe it's the paper I'm using. But what you want to do is you want to, there we are. I don't want to make a new fold. I'm just creating it on the folds I already had. I'm not making any new creases except for the one I'm folding back here. So I'm just folding that point backwards. So I just kind of collapsed and squashed that. So I've got this, you can see how, and I'll do it again. It's kind of like the crane, except in a little different way. So take this, that little triangular area, that flap, and just fold it down. Just fold it straight down. You just don't need, you're just kind of going as far as it will go. So now we have this. Now we're going to do this on all the corners, or all these little spaces here. So we just finished this one. It should look like that. What I'm going to do is just turn the whole thing over like this. Just turn it over, and you'll have the same flaps that you're going to have to fold in. So take this left side, and this short end meets this raw edge here, meets, fold it to meet that center line. Same thing, you take the right side, fold it in to meet the center line. And then what you'll do is make sure those creases are nice and sharp, open it up, and you'll see these little fold lines here. You're going to use that as your pivot point, as your place that you're going to bring, this paper as you're opening it. You're going to pinch and just fold it backwards as far as it goes, kind of naturally goes there. You can see here. It's just in the natural fold there. And then I'm just going to fold this down so that it just lays down flat. So that's how it should look now. And now we're going to take, as if we're opening a book, we're going to take this flap that we just folded. I'm just going to turn it. I'm not making a new fold. I'm just turning it on an existing crease, and I'm opening it up, and I'm going to turn the next page, and till I see this triangle shape, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold these little flaps in now, because I see this, we need to fold these short ends into that center. So take your left side, fold it to that center, and take the right side, just the top flap only, and fold it to the center. Now when you open that, what you just folded, open it up, and take this point, maybe this would work. Take your finger and just right at the center, kind of push it up, and then as you're pushing it up, just using the creases that you already made, you can now just kind of flatten it and let that point go up, and just flatten everything. And bring that point down that you just folded, bring it down. So now we're almost to the plate, we're almost there. So I'm going to turn the whole thing over. I'm just turning it. So what I have now is I need to open up these pages so I can find this right here. This is what we're looking for. We're finding that triangle Christmas tree shape that has these two triangular flaps. That's what we're folding next. So we only have one more set to go, and that's this one. You can see everything else is okay. So I'm going to fold the left side towards the center and the right side. Now the points are everything's lined up. And I'm going to unfold it and do the same thing. I'm picking that top part out, kind of opening it, and then on the folds that are already there, I'm collapsing it so that it kind of falls backwards And I want that point. Now this one's being a little more fussy. You'll notice that some papers will be easier to fold and some won't. So just work with it and you'll be all right. So I went ahead and I made that point going backwards. And now I'm just folding that down. So the hardest part of this is already done. I'm hoping that you were able to get it. So, and we'll certainly get to do it over. This is how your flower should look. It's ready. It's in that place of it's going to bloom soon. So the next step is there's that solid end here, this pointed solid end, and then you have these little petals that are up here at the top. I want you to fold the top layer only on the small end. I mean on the solid end. I want you to fold, just fold it right to that center on, I think I did this right. Nope, I didn't. Sorry. Let me make sure I did it right. No, sorry. I led you astray. So just stay where you are here. So you've got this. This is how I want you to just look and see if this is where you're at. We have these little legs, or what looks like little ears maybe, and then you have this little triangle flap, and then you have this pointy solid end. What I want you to do is to take just one layer and fold it to the right, and what you'll have is a very solid, elongated diamond shape. You're going to now fold these to the center. Fold those long edges to the center. Okay, there, that's the way it should look. So you have, there, we fold those, and we're going to do this on all the sides. The best way to do it is that now after you've folded it like this, turn it over, the whole thing, and what you'll have is you'll see, oh, I've got this open end. We want it to be the long, solid diamond shape. So I'm going to take that page, that flap, and I'm just going to just turn it to the right, and now I have my solid diamond shape. This is my solid end. These are my little open ends up away from me. And now I'm just going to fold these points to the center crease on both sides. Okay, now I've got that. All right, so now what we have to do is we need these other two sides to happen. So the easiest way to do that is to open up the little flap you just folded, just open it and turn the page, and then fold the next one until you see your open flat diamond. And the same thing, I'm going to fold that end, or this long end, to the center, and this next long end to the center, and I've got this shape. So I see that I still have a couple flaps, so I'm going to turn it all the way over. And what I'm going to do is I see these flaps are kind of sticking out on my left side, so I'm going to take this layer, I'm going to just fold it to the right, and I'm going to take the next flap or layer and fold it to the right. Now I see this long diamond again. Now I'll just fold those little long ends to the center. Now the folding is done. The actual lily is ready to be born, or to unfurl. We're going to unfurl our flower. What you want to do is you've got all these nice little flaps going on. So what I'm going to do is holding this in my hand, thumbs at the base. I've got all these little petals that I need to open. So what I'm going to do is take the first layer, and I'm going to fold it as far as it wants to go. And you'll see this is the first layer, the first petal. I'm folding it down as far as it can go, and I'm just going to crease it, and I'm turning it over, and I'm going to fold the other one down as far as I can crease it. Now, what we need to do is, keeping in mind everything, just kind of knowing the center area, I'm going to take this next page, and I'm going to turn it just like I did with what we were doing before, and I found this place. Basically, I want that petal to be open so I can fold that down. So just turn that page and then fold the next petal that you can fold down. Now I have one more petal that I need to fold, so I can just open it up. I'm just keeping everything together. Open that up, and now I have a fourth petal that I can fold. So now we can just let this open up. And the way we do that is we can just take our petals, just take them out like one. These two are out. And then you can just take the other one, just gently take these out, and they actually come out pretty easily. It just kind of happens. You just keep in mind that keep this part together, this little, the bottom part of your flower. And now the flower is made. It's folded. Now you can make it, shape it by curling the ends a little bit, like you can use, we got somebody here. Let me let her in just a moment. So you see what I'm doing? I'm curling the ends to make it more natural. So I'm going to start again, and we can do another flower. This one is my it's an 8-inch flower, so it's a lot bigger than the 6-inch one. But let's do another one. And I think what I could do this time, I'm going to do it with a pattern paper, just so maybe it might be easier to see. I'm just going to maybe I'll grab a piece of scrap paper. Let's see what I got. Got all this vintage scrap paper, and this is pretty thick, so that at least will, there's some interesting colors. Oh, that one's fun. That's too thick. Some papers are just too much like cardstock, and you don't want to do that. Let's see. There's so many papers, but all these are cards, so I can't use those. Oh well. That is probably too. This one I can probably use. That little vintage letter fold looking thing. So, okay. So now we're going to do it again. So let's say, this might be easier to follow because I have white on one side and the other on the white and patterned. So start with your patterned side up, and let's fold it in half in one direction. And open it up and fold it in half in the other direction. And actually what they do, I'm just going to follow what I had done before. Now fold it, now turn it over with your colored side down and fold it in half in a diagonal direction. And fold it in half again in the diagonal direction. Okay, so now what you want to do is, all right, you're going to fold it, these little corners, to the center with your color side up. This paper is probably like a 40-pound paper, or maybe it's a lot heavier than the standard origami paper. So we'll see how it ends up. Should be okay. So now I'm opening this all up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse. What am I doing? I did it wrong. It's okay. What I want is I want to collapse it, but I want my color side to be on the outside. So I need to just reverse these folds, because if I don't, then it's not going to want to do what I want it to do. So what you want it to do is you want to collapse it and so that it goes into a square with the two flaps, kind of like your crane, just like your crane. And I had done it wrong. I should have started, this is the first time I've done a paper that's solid on one side. So I'm not really seeing, the other directions were wrong then. But what you need to do when you're doing something like this, I guess what I would have done is told you to start with your white side up, and then you would turn your white color side to do the diagonals. And then you could fold your corners in, and now you're at this place where you collapse and you you do your folds here. So the next step is to take on here's your open end, your open edges. You want it on your closed edge. You want to close the folded edges. You want to fold those corners towards that center. Just fold this one edge, the folded edge, to that center, and do this on both sides. Turn it over and do the same on the other side. Okay, so now we've got this kite shape with an open ends on both sides. What you want to do now is to take, we're going to have to collapse all these. We open up one layer, and we just using this as a anchor point. The center part is an anchor point. We don't want to let that go anywhere. We open up our paper and we just flatten it on the, you might be able to see this easier now that I have that white showing. So you can take your paper that you just did and just fold it over and bring the next layer up and insert your finger or something, flatten and flatten. Okay, so that you have that shape. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to do the same thing on these two sides. Opening them up, bringing one straight up, inserting, I think I could try doing it with the finger, let's see. It's easier with the bone folder, but you can. If you don't have a folder, just putting your finger inside and flattening is fine. Okay, turn the page, just move that out of the way and bring this next flap up. This next layer is up. And take your folder, put it inside, and just flatten it on existing creases. No new creases are being made. So now we have this going on. So now we're going to take all of our, we want to have the solid, we don't want any white showing when we're doing this next step. So we need to find the solid areas here. So if it has white, that's not the way we want to do it. So so wherever you have solid paper, you're going to do this from the open raw edge, not the closed edge, but the open raw edge. And you're going to fold these little corners right to the center on both sides. Try to get that point nice and sharp because that's this is the tip of your petal right here. So now I've got that over. I'm going to give it a nice crease. And then, no, I didn't do that right. Karen. Oh, I was wrong. I led you astray, but it's just not going to hurt. Okay. All right, back up. Let's rewind. So let's start right here. So we actually want the white showing. We have this little triangle Christmas tree shape. We have these white flaps. This is where we want to fold in. And I didn't make them, all I have to do is reverse what I already did. It's not like I made a fold that I will ruin. It's not ruined by doing that, but now I see what was, you can usually back up and go, oh, that's not right. So I'm folding it to the center on both sides so that my white gets covered, completely covering that white little edge. Now I open it up and I'm going to take this and I'm going to take that point and I'm just going to fold it back as far as it, just basically the folds are already there. You're not making anything new. That's those little folds that you made earlier. That's what makes this process easier. If you didn't do those folds that go into the center, it would be a bear. I've always manhandled I never found a good way to do it. This is my favorite way. So we're going to do it again. I'm going to just turn it over. So now I have my little white little triangles showing. We want to fold those one layer to the center. I'm going to fold the next one right to the center. Crease it really well. Open it, and then just using the folds that are already there, you'll see them. They're right there. They're right there, and that's what you're going to use to make that point happen. And then the only new crease you're making is kind of right down in here. But go ahead and now you've got that. Fold it down. I don't think I told you to fold the other one down. No, I didn't. So fold those little points down so that they point towards these petal ends. So we've got that happening on both. Now open it up and do the same on these remaining triangle flaps, whatever they're called. They're called something. In origami speak, I'm just kind of winging it here. So just fold that and fold this little corner or this little edge to the center. Open it up, and then using those little, you'll see those little lines right there and right there. Just don't make, that's where you're going to make that happen. So don't make new creases, just use those pre-creases that you already made, and that will make this so much easier. Now you can take it and pull it back as far as it go, let that crease that, and then fold that point down towards you. So now we got one more to go. So I'm going to just find those open flaps and fold those into that center. I think this is going to come out beautifully with this scrapbook. I like this vintage paper. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to make these little points. And this is the trickiest part of this lily, but that's what makes it so beautiful. But those folds really did make a difference. For years, I struggled before I started doing it this way. So fold that all the way back, and then fold that down. So now we've got our flower. We're about ready to unfurl it. No, we're not. Wait, one more step. So now we're going to find the solid. So we have we're basically going to fold, kind of get everything symmetrical. So you have 4 flaps on each side, but have your solid diamond, long diamond, have that showing. So you have solid up. No, you don't want anything but a solid piece up here. And this is your closed end. These are your petal ends right here, all open. So take your closed end and narrow that by folding to that center. Just really, especially thicker paper, it's going to be a little bit harder, but you can do it. Fold those to the center, and let's do that on all sides. And I'm going to just crease this really good because this is a lot thicker paper. And I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to do the same thing because I have a solid place here. I'm going to take this top layer and I'm going to fold it right to the center. And again, take the next one and fold it to the center. Give it a nice burnishing. Now we've got this side and this side we need to do. So I'm just going to take my pages and open them up. In fact, I just like to keep everything symmetrical. So there we go. So what I have now is on both of these sides, I have the solid diamond that I need to narrow. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to fold these edges to that center. And again, my other edge. Okay. I'm turning it over and I'm going to finally have the last one. I'm going to fold that to the center, that long edge. And again, I'm going to fold that to the center. I'm going to give it this bone folder, really give it a good crease. And now I'm ready to open up my flower. So at this point, you just take the first petal, fold it as far down as you can possibly fold it. It's kind of a natural, you'll see it just knows where to go. And once you do that, just crease that and do the same on the other. Just crease that. And then take your petals, just using that center point, just kind of fold those out of the way. You've already done those, so just go ahead and fold those. And now we need to open these up. There we are. And now you've got these two that need to be folded all the way down to the center. And this last one folds down. And this one, I'm going to love this one. It's going to be thick, but it's really nice. So now you take your petals and you open them up. Just kind of open the petals only. Don't try to keep the bottom part together. And I love this vintage looking flower. Okay, so I'm going to ask, did everybody get that? And I'm going to show the next step. I just wanted to know if you chime in, if you need some help. Let me know. Otherwise, I'll just show you a quick how I did the stems. So I think everybody's made one, right? Thumbs up. I don't see. Did ye? Okay, you did. Cheryl, how did you do? I see where, let me see if you could unmute yourself so I can help you. Oh, I think it looks like you got it. Okay, awesome. Look at that, it's beautiful. Everybody's done great. Okay, so just to finish off this so that we have everything we need to complete our, if you want to make a bouquet, this is so pretty. So like I said, to make the edges, you can either curl it like you would with a ribbon. You kind of pull, use a tool. Maybe scissors would be a little bit too sharp. But you can do it this way, or you can just roll it with a pen. But I like doing it this way, kind of just bends those petals nicely. So you've got that. Now you have it's closed end, but how I do this is the reason I left the pointy end of the skewer, and I painted the solid end, and I've got this pointy end. What I do is I just take the pointy end, drop it right down in the center, and I just gently poke it through. And now I don't have to cut it. It's got a nice firm, very firm grab. And then I'm going to just slide it up as far as I want it to go. And what I'll do is I put a little bit of glue right on the very end of my stick. Not too much, just a little bit. And then I'm just going to pull it all the way through until it meets. I can get that, make sure I can see it. You can kind of see the glue. There we go. I think that's as far as it'll go. Maybe a little farther. There it is. So now I leave it like that, and then then I can decide, okay, how long do I want my stem? I can cut my stem at any length. We'll say like I want it to be 7 inches, 6 inches, whatever you want for your vase. So I'm going to just cut this off right there. So now I've got the pointy, sharp end's gone. And the next step is to do the leaf. And what I've done is I just took a piece of green paper. You could use anything. You don't have to have green, but the green paper, I just fold. I have it's about 1.5 inches in length. I fold it in half like this. So I have a 6-inch strip by about, just fold that in half. And lily leaves are thin and long, so that's why I'm doing it this way. So at the bottom of it, I'm just kind of creating a little sort of where the leaf starts, and then I'm just going to curve, kind of a nice gentle curve all the way to the end of the paper. It's so simple. You can make it more narrow. If you think that's too thick, you can always just kind of narrow it a little bit more. Like I kind of thought that was a little too thick. So now I've got those. And very easily, you can just kind of gently play with the leaf, kind of shape it the way you want. Like you can even curve it with your finger to give it a natural curve and kind of get it ready for gluing, because when you're going to glue this, you're going to kind of wrap it and it does a little natural curve thing. So I kind of play with the paper a little bit before I get the glue on. And then this, you don't need a lot of glue. I tend to overdo it and then it gets soggy. So just use a minimal amount of glue at the bottom, and then decide where you want to put your leaf, and then take that leaf and just wrap. You can kind of have it at an angle or at straight on, however you want. And each one is slightly different anyway. So this one kind of is sort of at an angle, I can see. I'm just going to hold that. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to kind of shape my leaf and play with it a little bit just to see if it's going to lay the way I want. See, I can even manipulate it a little bit, pushing it here. So now it's laying exactly the way I want. And I just holding it in my hand until that glue bonds with the wood, with the painted wood. And that one I really liked. I like that one better. It's so pretty. If you want, you can also put little stamens, I think they're called stamens, the little things that go inside. There's actually things you could buy. They're already made, which would be fun. You know which one I'm talking about, Cheryl? The little.
Yeah, the stamen.
Stamen, that's the word.
Yeah. I used it when I've done Brazilian embroidery. You can buy them. Yeah.
Right. So that'd be fun. That could probably be purchased in a fabric department. Probably. I'm thinking. So, and then when you do enough flowers, of course, I have to turn my camera so you can see it better. Oops, let's see if I can do this without causing without making you dizzy. So there is, you can make a bouquet, and I'm going to probably add maybe 3 more flowers to this arrangement, and then I'll have a bouquet for my my dinner party with my family tomorrow.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?